Hey guys, heading to a friend's house up in Newcastle who's got this cool old shell of a rusty pickup truck on her property. I'm going to go up and do a sunset photo shoot, see what we can do, bring in some external lighting with me so that I can make the light do what I want and not just rely on Mother Nature to make it happen for me. So basically my process is that I bring a strobe on a stick and I light the car. I put the camera on a tripod and leave it there, trigger it remotely with my phone. I've got a trigger on the camera that's going to trigger the flash, the strobe, and then I'm going to take a bunch of different shots of the vehicle as I'm walking around, lighting it from different places. And then what I do is in post-process, I'll go ahead and blend those layers together to really shape the light and make it do what I want, and get creative with it and kind of give it my own artistic flavor. Should be pretty good. We're going to have a nice sunset tonight, hopefully. We've been getting some really good ones lately, although it is getting earlier and earlier. We've got hopefully some fall colors in the trees that we'll be able to capture, and the rusty patina of the old truck should make things pretty interesting. All right, so here's the truck I'm going to be shooting. We got some sunlight peeking through the trees behind. We got some cool old carcass right there that I'll get in the shot. This should end up looking pretty damn cool. So I want to give a shout out to Devin Bruce's photography class. Hopefully you guys find this helpful, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. So what I'm doing here is I've got the camera set up on a tripod right there in the foreground with my trigger on top of it. And then I'm walking around with my strobe on the end of a quote stick, which is an extendable pole. It extends from about 4 feet to about 10 feet. And I raise it up above the vehicle so that it lights the vehicle similar to how natural light would light it, creating shadows under the body lines, that kind of thing. I'll also get some different shots where I'm lighting the ground and the leaves to kind of mimic what the sunlight would do if that was coming in through the trees. And then I'm going to take all those shots and layer them together in Photoshop afterwards. So here I am doing another composition. Basically in this series I ended up doing 3 different compositions, and we'll end up working with one of them in Photoshop as my example that I'll show you. All right, so that's a wrap. Got plenty of shots. Had some technical difficulties with my my wireless trigger, my Cam Ranger. Did not transmit my images back to my phone for preview the way that it should, so I had to do some double checking on the back of the camera. But I'm pretty sure all is good. I got plenty of different shots, lighting up the vehicle from different angles, different exposure settings that I can play with. The whole intent is to give myself plenty of content to work with when I take it into Photoshop. I want to have plenty of layers where the vehicle is lit from different angles, different strengths, different shutter speeds, all of that, so that I can create the final image that I want. One additional thing to mention is when I do this, I typically shoot at a tighter aperture, usually around f7 to f9, because I want the entire vehicle to be sharp from front to back. Since the vehicle is what the focus is in these images, I try to prefer to not have the back end of the vehicle getting soft from a larger aperture. So these shots, I think the first image I ended up shooting at f9, and then the second and third images I shot at 7.1. Each image probably got about 25 to 30 shots that are going to compile the final image. Out of those, I might end up using maybe 8 12. We'll see how they look when I get them home and put them on the computer. All right? Till we talk soon. All right, bye. Now we get to get really creative. So now I'm scrolling through the images as I took them in Lightroom. So these are going to be the final 15 images that I'm going to use for this particular shot. I'm going to take them from Lightroom and pull them over to Photoshop. So you're going to see me go up to the menu there, go edit in, open layers in Photoshop, and then we're going to jump over to Photoshop where I've already got them loaded and I've already got my masks and everything applied just to kind of save some time. But you can see me going through the different layers, and you can see where there's that bright light from each strobe pop. And what I'm going to do is mask all those out to just show and leave what was left over from where I lit the vehicle. I did a couple pops right over the front fenders to mimic the headlights being on, because the headlights actually were not on the vehicle. It didn't have an electrical system. So what I did was I took some stock images that I found of round headlights and layered those over the image of the vehicle. But then where I lit the fenders where those headlights are, that's where I blended that in to show the highlight as if the headlights were actually on. And then as we go through this, you'll see, as I'm enabling the masks on each layer, what it looks like when I remove those masks. And so here I left the one pop, which actually looked very similar to what the sunlight looks like, and then I enhanced it with some kind of golden hue. Added some more layers for some atmosphere, to kind of add some glow and some mist and smoke to the image. Right there's a little bit of smoke, kind of liven it up a little bit. And then I'll end up pulling this over to Lightroom, exporting it, and then pulling it into Lightroom to do my final tweaks and edits, contrast, sharpening, that kind of stuff. And here we've got kind of a before. This is before my lighting, and after my lighting and editing, and then a couple other images that I captured that night. Hope you enjoyed. So, hey guys, hopefully that helped you out in understanding my workflow, how I get the images, how I light the images, how I edit the images. It's a pretty complex process, but all I'm really trying to do is reproduce what I think Mother Nature could have done, and how I would have liked the scene to have been lit naturally. But the strobes give me the ability to take my time with light, really work it the way that I want. And then in editing, it's really about thinking about where would that light be coming from naturally, if that was truly the sun. How would it cast shadows? When I layer those headlights in, those headlights right there, when I layer those in, what kind of highlights are those going to put on the fenders, and that kind of thing. So it's all about really kind of having a vision for what you want, and using the light to try to mimic what would naturally happen. Because if I made the light come from a place that didn't make sense, the picture would look really weird. Like, for example, if I had the light down really low, shining upwards, that would make no sense. The picture would not look right. So having the light come in from a higher angle so that it's hitting the body lines and highlighting different aspects of the vehicle makes it look a little bit more natural, but still really dramatic. So feel free to hit me up if you got any questions. If you want to know more, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, Photography by Mark Brooks. If you don't remember, ask Devin, he'll tell you, unless he doesn't like me anymore, but shouldn't be a problem. Let me know if you got any questions, I'd be happy to help.